Hey, what's up, you monkeys? Welcome to Distant Signal, where we encourage all good things. We're still playing this damn music. Hold on a second. Here we go. We're fading out. We are fading out. We are faded out. All right, here we go. Let's try this again. Welcome back to Distant Signal, everybody. Thanks for sticking or stopping by. We have a little bit of a show for you today, some film updates. We're going to talk about the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Makes me angry, not because it's Trump, but because it's the Hollywood Walk of Fame, and I love Hollywood, and I think that whoever to face it can go to hell. In any case, here we go. So, first off of the day, I Love You. Short film. I've been putting it together the last couple of weeks, actually a few weeks, and we just had Danny and Belle come on over for a little mild rehearsal just to talk about the film. We are shooting this Saturday, and we're shooting it here. It's going to be fun. We've got a lot of fun space to make a movie in, and we're going to be shooting on the Red, so I'm very excited about that. We're going to have a really nice quality. I mean, I was going to shoot it on the FS7, but my DP offered the Red, so thank you so much, Michael. And so, yeah, that's right. We have Michael Ojeda is going to be shooting the short film. He directed Avenge, which came out a couple of years ago. Really fun horror movie. I highly recommend it. And then, not least of which because I worked on it, but because it's a good horror film, and Michael's a really, really good director, and I want to see him make more stuff. So go check it out. And his new film's coming out. I believe it's called Russian Bride in a few months, maybe. I'm not sure. So keep an eye out for Michael's next feature film as director. But this weekend, Michael will be my DP, and he's awesome to work with, so I'm really excited about that. So, I Love You. What do we got here? In order to prepare for this, I did what you traditionally would use storyboards for pre-visualizing the film that you're striving to make. But in this case, since I didn't want to pay a storyboard artist, my usual storyboard artist, Neil DeMonte, who's an incredible artist, I just couldn't afford him this time. So I took my 5D out, and I made a bunch of fun storyboards. So let's check this out. Stay with me. Stay with me. So this was great. So this made making the storyboards extremely fast. So I was able to do an entire film's worth of storyboards, so about 3 pages or so worth of storyboards in a day. Maybe day and an eighth or something. Like the next day I had to get 2 or 3 extra shots that I couldn't because the sun went away. But I was able to get through the entire set of storyboards more or less, and I was able to visualize the entire film. So here we have, as you can see here, it's the I Love You storyboards. We've got our legend. A good legend is hard to find. So I think Leslie Knope of Parks and Rec would love this legend. We got Belle, Danny, camera path, actor path, camera, shot continues, and shot continues across pages, and you'll see why that last little bit matters. So if we go to the first page here, why isn't this working? There we go. Let's try this now. There we go. So you can see the shot list here. Now, I tend to get a little bit ambitious when it comes to my filmmaking. I always say, and Danny Letman will attest to this if you ever catch him on the street, he'll say, "Oh, it's simple film with Phil." That's a lie. It's never going to be simple. And so as you can see, I've got 59 setups for what I was hoping would be a single day shoot, but my guess is we'll probably have to shoot a second day or a part of a day somewhere in the future. So we've got 59 setups, and they're organized by scene and shot. And you can see the 1-1. So scene 1, shot 1, and it continues in that order. So we start. So we're going to start the film. It's morning. Our characters wake up. They're in bed. We establish a very intimate scene. It's I love you, smooch, smooch, smooch. Oh my God. It's not I love you yet. And so we've got 2 characters here that are waking up in this really nice, it's easy, like Sunday morning kind of setting. And Belle, who's also playing Belle's character. Belle's character in this instance wants Danny's character to say, I love you. So she's going to try to get him to say it. So she starts playing this game, and it begins in bed with her trying to hint at the fact that she loves him. But what she really wants is for him to say it first. Now, Danny being an astute gamer, I imagine he plays a lot of games. I think we've got, I've got some set design, maybe some costume, some wardrobe that'll help establish that he's a gamer, likes to play games. I think he picks up on this notion that she's playing this game, so he plays it back a little bit and avoids saying it back. He avoids this reciprocity. And normally I think that this would be, I mean, obviously it's a real jerk move, but I think in the context of something as silly as this is going to be, I think it'll be a lot of fun. I think it'll be funny. Maybe I'm just sick in the head. And so we have, so they get up, Danny gets to the window, he looks outside. We see that Belle, in frame 1.7 here at the 85 mil, we'll have a close-up of Belle. She's really enamored with him. She is very much in love with Danny's character. And I want to really get at that feeling, that seeing it in her face. I think one of the things that I really wanted to do with this film was focus on telling the story through reactions instead of words. Like, I want to see it on their faces. And I've been looking, during the auditions for Changelings, I've been really looking for that quality. Does the actor take a second to think? And do we see that thought process on their faces? And if you watch, there's a really great video by, I think it's Lessons of the Screenplay. I think they do a bit about Anthony Hopkins, and he touches on the fact that Anthony Hopkins takes all this time to sort of think through the feelings that he is feeling when he's thinking and expressing it, to make sure that you understand every little nuance that's going through his head. And so that's been something that I want to practice. And I think that, so what I've done is I've given almost no lines to Danny, and the words I love you to Belle. So she's going to say, I essentially give her more or less one thing to say, and Danny just a bunch of things to do, to try to, as an exercise, to try to capture different intonations of I love you, because it could be I love you, I love you, I love you, right? We can have threatening, questioning, unsureness, like whatever it is. I want to try to get at all those feelings through just a few words. And I want to do the same thing with Danny, with just all reactions. And the same thing sort of goes for Belle at the beginning here. So we see that she's enamored with her, but we see that Danny's sort of not really paying attention. I mean, we'll have some cute looks and whatnot, but he's fascinated by what's going on down here at 1.9, and I think I'm going to insert some ants sort of walking down there. I think he's intrigued by that, and take whatever things you want from it when you see the film. So then we cut to the next shot. We've got a macro shot of a drill. She's hanging up a sign. We know that she wants him to say, I love you. And this sign, or this painting, says, I am loving you. Clearly, you would have to be an idiot not to know that this is saying, I love you. And so Danny sees it. We see in 2.4, we've got a 2 shot. He says, looks pretty. It could mean that he says she looks pretty, or that it looks pretty, or that both will look pretty, but he ignores the obvious sign. And so he walks away in 2.5. We see Danny getting ready in the 2.7. Belle's going to be looking at him like, what the F, bro? Why don't you say the obvious words I don't want you to say back to me? But of course, this is now a game. In 2.8, you can see my awesome hand makes its cameo. That's sort of going to be the just Danny in the mirror getting ready. Then we go to a macro shot of the faucet, and then I want to do some symmetrical filmmaking here, so sort of heighten the contrived nature of the piece. I think it's so absurd that someone wouldn't say I love you back, or just walk out, or just the relationship just wouldn't explode unless the tone was pretty absurd or quirky, like Roll Tenenbaums or something like that. So I've opted for some symmetry to make it more artificial. So you can see that we go from the symmetrical shot on the faucet to the eggs and the bowl. So we can see there's some sort of symmetry happening there. And then we can go to a macro shot of the egg cracking. And then 3.3 to 3.4, this continuation of this rack focus. I'll probably have to adjust this because I want there's going to be a reveal with this back wall here that you'll see in the next frame. But we have to show Danny's face cooking, because we want to establish that Danny isn't a real asshole. He is playing this game, but he cares and loves for Belle. And so, you know, these things where he's simultaneously playing a game with her, but I think he wants to let her know that he still cares for her, but he's going to play this game. He's going to play along until it reaches its zenith. And so we see him whipping the eggs. We cut down to the eggs, so more symmetry here. Whipping of the eggs to frying of the eggs, just in a straight, quick cut to on the table with the egg. So in a quick boom, 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 we're going to have this fun edit and hopefully some fun sound design of the eggs being made and plated on these 2 plates. And we see now, while we have these close-ups on the plates, there's going to be a red light flashing. We're not going to know what it is, but we reveal after cutting to Belle and Danny in 3.7 and 3.8 that we're we're sort of heightening this question. We're sort of asking this question over and over again, what is on this wall? When we cut to the wide on 3.9, we see that it's a sign of Christmas lights, placed on the wall that's flashing love. Belle's going to take Danny's plate, and then we're going to see that she takes his eggs, that's like my little egg yolk symbol there, and that she's going to pull it out of frame and then push her back into frame, and then it's going to say you. So we can cut from the sign, love you, love you. So in case Danny further didn't understand what she was getting at, this should make it painfully obvious. A carpet would know, but she wants him to say it back. But of course he doesn't. And, excuse me, we're gonna have some banter here, 3.8 and 3.9. We're gonna repeat these close-ups where finally Belle has to say, I love you. And then she says, he doesn't respond back. She says, I love you again. And at this point, he gets up in 3.12 and heads into the kitchen. And we're either going to use the Ronin with the 5D shooting Magic Lantern Raw, or we'll just shoot on the DJI, I think it's called the Osmo. And I know the chip size is going to be different, so it's going to look really different from, say, a Red to an Osmo. But I really want to get a lot of fluid movement into the kitchen, and the kitchen is just so damn small. So Danny gets up and leaves into the kitchen, stops to get himself an energy drink. I think we'll use the 5D with my 20 mil. It looks really rad. She appears behind him. He pops up, surprised. She says, I love you again, but in a different way to try to get him to say it back. He opens the can, drinks it, makes her wait for it, and then proceeds to leave the kitchen. Oh, mother of pearl. We've lost picture again because I keep forgetting that this camera has a very stupid setting. I gotta work on this. Oh. Sorry, 1 second, guys. There I am with a grid and lots of useless information. Okay, so yeah, the camera's going to be very fluid here until we get it all the way into the living room. We're going to cut here in 3:15 to the reverse movement and then head into the living room where we follow his feet. The Osmo, I think the Osmo is really going to be great for this. The Osmo is going to go down to his feet as he rounds the, the corner here. And if any of you are wondering why the bed is in the bedroom, I could tell you that it's guests. But the real answer is that it is so hot right now at 107 to 108 degrees in LA. I think maybe West Hollywood like 98 or something. But it's so hot and the AC is insufficient to cool the entire apartment. Sometimes we have to sleep in the living room because the inside is at like 90 degrees. So it's a problem with a lot of old Hollywood buildings, like just very bad central heating, central air, or none at all. When I lived at the Via Elaine, I'm sure some of you will know that place. I believe there's an album named Via Elaine too, and I used to live in this building. Absolutely no AC. The windows were too big to put an AC in, like hanging out over the window without modification or buying something really expensive. So I lived in the building for 12 years without AC. It was the worst. But I've got a lot of fond memories of the Via. So in any case, so we then land on his shoes in, I believe this is 3:15, although I didn't label it. And then we cut to Danny at 3:16, and at 3:17 we have more symmetry, sort of heighten his sort of artificial nature. And then 3:18 we'll have a close-up of Belle. She keeps saying, I love you, to try to get him to say it back. He just is ignoring her. It gets more and more absurd in his attempts to ignore her until he finally opens the door and just runs out of the house. He's just going to run and sprint. Belle, meanwhile, at 3:23 will sort of run to the door, and we're going to blow to white. And what we see in the next setting here, or the next page here, is that we flash back to her memory of him just sort of sitting at the window. And I think that what I want to try to recall is that moment that she understands that she just loves him unconditionally. Just like you would love anyone, any person I think that you just have a significant connection to. You hold on to these memories that informs why you stick around. Like, what is it about them? You know, it's magic, or it's indescribable, whatever, je ne sais quoi, if you will. I don't know, but this moment I want to try to capture that somehow, her looking at him. And then at 4:1, we see her foot landing in frame, and she's resolved herself to continue chasing him. Because really, I think what we're sort of digging through here are people's desire to be chased and chase. right? So she clearly likes to chase, and Danny likes to be chased. He likes the game. And we then, at 4-2, we have a sort of very extreme angle looking up as she runs through frame. I want to say the shot's inspired from The Natural, in the scene when he's running around the bases and the lights are blowing up. There's just this great shot of him rounding the bases, and it's always stuck with me. So this is my tiny, tiny homage to that movie. And then in 4-3, Danny's exiting the building. 4-4, we see his feet land, going right to left. We see behind him in 4-5, and then in 4-6, we see Belle finally enter the street as she's chasing, screaming, "I love you," all the way down the street. And then we get to 4-7, and this is a tracking shot. We'll probably be in a car. If we have time, hopefully the sun is still up. I know that by this point we might not. It might be, night out. I don't know. We track left with the Movi in a car. They run. Now this is a fun bit. So this is why I really wanted the legend. I wanted to try to make it so that the audience, not the audience, sorry, the actors and the camera could cross the line in scene. So our characters are running right to left out of the building, and I want to be able to swing around. So we have here in 4-9 looking up north our street. They're going to run towards camera. The camera pans with them. You can see the continuing motion into the last frame of the black car. So now our characters will be running left to right. So right to left at the top, and so that we can change screen direction to left to right. They cross left to right on camera, and the camera pans with them. Now we are running left to right. You can see that the camera here in the diagram is all, we see the actor's motion, the camera motion, where it's pointing. So that's the goal of this, but it's sort of fancy footwork. It's not necessary to tell the story, but I do want to try to get a fun, a line change. I thought it'd be pretty cool. And then we pan with them on the street here. And we end up at this park where she tackles him. And this is my girlfriend here, inside of a blanket. And the camera's going to go into the blanket after some tumbling through the park as she says, "I love you, I love you, I love you." And finally, when the blanket, not the blanket, but her sweater sort of lands on top of them, we'll have this sort of Michel Gondry magical moment. I don't know. Where they're under the blanket, or not the blanket, the sweater. And she'll say, "I love you" again, and he'll say, "I love you too." And I've got a couple alternate endings, but I think that, the game has been had. The game is complete. And I want to end it on a sweet note. I think this should be sweet and fun and kind of absurd, because I think that comedy for me is absurd. I like absurdist comedy. I love the Royal Tenenbaums and the earlier work of is it Wes Anderson, right? I believe. Yeah, Wes Anderson. So yeah, so you can see some influences in there. Now we're back to the beginning, and trying to think what else. As we gone through the photo boards. Oh yeah, mails. We got some mails for "I Love You." I just want to thank Amazon for being my production assistant. Let's go here. So yeah, so Amazon, my lovely production assistant. Let's get some more light here on my face. Yeah, I bought a bunch of stuff. Let's see what we got here. Very excited. So the sweater. So this is pretty cool. The sweater. Yes. So this is the sweater. So the idea behind having this sort of long sweater here is that this is beautiful. I think this is really beautiful, this material here. I like the knit. Let me get a little closer on this for you. Can I get closer? Where are we? Yeah, look at that. I don't know, I kind of like it. It's really nice. So it's kind of long though, so it'll hang quite long on Belle. Let's get back in here. And yeah, so this is supposed to drape over them, and they'll be stuck underneath, kind of like this, talking. "Oh my God, I love you so much. You're the best. Oh my God." So yeah, so we'll have this sweater. Hopefully that'll work. And if it doesn't, I've got a blanket. That's why I think I kept saying blanket, because I'm going to use my gray blanket as a stand-in for this if this isn't big enough, which it probably won't be, but in any case, I like the sweater. I'm assuming the girlfriend will get it. What else do we have? What else do we have? I love this because I forget what I order sometimes. Oh, yes. This is really cool. So I got this awesome gaming pillow for Danny's character. Look at this awesome thing. I'm not a huge gamer, but this is rad. I mean, I used to play... Oh, let's get in here. There we go. I love it because it reminds me of when I was a kid playing games. I mean, we have... What else? We have what looks sort of like the old Nintendo controller. I mean, it's just so cartoonish. So this will be his pillow. And I don't know if I've received bells yet, but I got a box here. But I love this pillow. I'll put a link in the description below where you can find this awesome thing. What's on the back side? I think it's the same. Yeah, so it's repeated pattern. So I want to hint at Danny's character here. That he's into games. And I think, I've only got a short period of time to sort of establish their characters. And I think that would be a fun way to do it. It'll just be in frame the whole time. And then, so I'll put a link in the description for that sweater because I think it's really beautiful. And then we have, what do we got here? I think this might be the pillow. Ah, yes. So pillow for the... Might be the wrong pillow. What else do we have here? So this is going to be Belle's pillow. This is cute, isn't it? Hearts. Got lots of hearts. It's beautiful. I love the gold on the white. I think it'd be a nice contrast to the gaming pillows. Let me check this out. So yeah, boy, girl. I think it'll be fun. You see that? So this nice stark contrast I think will help establish some character. But I think I got to buy a bigger pillow. I think that this is not going to fit. So crap. What else we got? Ah, yes. And the red lights. So very excited about these. Yeah, this should be good. Yeah, these crimson red lights would be beautiful. And that's it. So that's the mail drop. That's what came for I Love You. And guys, it's getting really sweaty in here, aren't I? And so what else? So tonight I'm going to be helping out a friend with some filming for his feature film. And so I can't talk for too much longer. So let's try to get through some other bits here. So Changeling update. We've got some... Oh, did some Changelings. I thought this was kind of fun. So I sent up the casting notice a few weeks ago, and almost immediately, I think within a couple of hours, I had like 400 or 500 submissions. And then by the time the audition sort of had run their course via the EcoCast. Sorry, EcoCast is just remote casting. The actors record themselves and they send the tape to you via not even a tape anymore. It's just a file. So they email you the file through the system. And I think I had 1,274 submissions for 2 roles. I intend on paying for these roles because I just want a different relationship between, I don't want to have to ask for favors all the time. It's really tiring. So I really want to try to raise enough money to make this so I can pay the actors and we have a professional relationship instead of just a buddy-buddy relationship. I think that's important. So I really want to try to accomplish that this time. So yeah, so I'm offering just a little bit of money and the submissions are overwhelming. I went through every single reel. I watched every single audition. Those who didn't have reels, I even gave them a chance because I asked for them to send remote casting files to me. We watched it all. And out of 1,274 submissions, I've narrowed it down, I think at this point, to like 8. It was 15 yesterday, but I think I watched the reels again today, or the casting session, because I did an actual physical casting as well in Hollywood. About, I think, 27 actors just showed up to that, and that was a lot of fun. I was able to tape that. So I'm down. I watched some of these reels today. I think I've eliminated about, maybe not half. I don't want to say half. I want to say like 30% of them. So I've got about 10, I think, I'm down to. I think that it's a tough choice. But I really want to make sure that I get this casting right. My other 2 leads, I know they're going to work. They're fine actors. They're amazing. And they've been in they have a lot of experience. And working with them is always a pleasure because they're always good and they're always professional. And so I'm looking for that in these next 2 roles. I got to say, you know, it's challenging finding the right person, because I think next what I'm going to do is I've got to cast one of them. I've got to cast the main second, the co-star, I guess not the co-star, but the main supporting actor. And once I cast her, then I'll be able to bring in other actors for her to act against, and then that will allow me to know, I think, okay, these 2 have good chemistry. I should cast these 2. And so I'm just sort of being very meticulous with the casting this time around. I've got to find the right person for it. So we're down to about 10 or so people. I had a phone meeting with a special effects artist, Vincent Guastini. I'm not sure if I went over this last time, but we discussed doing this creature transformation because, you know, I was personally really influenced by John Carpenter and The Thing and Hellraiser by Clive Barker, and these really grotesque films from the 80s that involved body horror and transformations. And, you know, these are phobias of mine. These are the kinds of things that gives me nightmares. Nuclear war and body horror. So I want to step into that darkness. And I just wanted to, you know, to try to do a couple shots, to try to achieve one dramatic effect. And he said, you know, I thought, you know, maybe like $5,000 or $6,000 or $7,000 I could do a small effect for, and you know, for the film. But it turns out the effect that I wanted, at a minimum conservative estimate, I think was going to cost $50,000. So at least 3 times the entire budget of the short film that, you know, I've got on paper. I want to make it cheaper, of course. Everyone who makes a film does. But over 3 times conservatively for the entire budget to do a creature transformation. So I've got to find a unique way of covering this thing, this creature transformation, of course, provided we raise the money to actually make the film. But, you know, I've got to find a way of lighting it, hiding it, and highlighting what's good, and hiding what's really bad, especially with like low budget stuff. Typically, the lighting reveals way too much with low budget stuff, and I think that it's better to probably hide it. So I'm thinking low key, very dark, hard to see, but the bits you do see are going to be horrifying. And that said, I'm going to have to also probably manually make some face molds of both Tony Christopher and Dan Warner. If you see this, guys, before I actually call and tell you about it, I'm sorry in advance. And I'm also thinking of doing some photogrammetry of their faces for computer-generated graphics. So, you know, for CGI. If I can somehow get a CGI artist on board, maybe with these photo scans of their faces, we can achieve a mixture. Like, so I want to do practical. So, but I always love the idea of mixing practical with digital. It's probably not going to happen. I'll probably just have to hide it. I'll probably have to hide most of the creature transformation and really get creative to really hint at what is happening. But I definitely want to make sure that the audience understands that it's gross, it's violent, it's painful, and these creatures don't want to actually go through transforming. I think that in the Hollywood movies, not even Hollywood movies, just transformations tend to be very quick all the time, or I think for the expediency of the story. But I always imagine these major transformations being incredibly painful, and no one would want to go through them. Whatever creature we're talking about, the werewolf, or even even a vampire. Imagine if teeth grew out of your face in a second. I mean, imagine the biggest toothache of your life. Or imagine growing pains you had in your knees when you were like 11 or 15, right? When your bones are just growing like crazy, and put that in your mouth. No, it would be painful. It would be horrible. And so I want to add that element into this. I think that it's more interesting to have creatures that want to avoid transforming as much as possible because it's awful. What else? So I'm running out of time here, but I guess we'll just stick with, I've got a couple projects coming up. I'm working on an interesting piece that's comparing the YouTube policies to the Hays Code of the 1950s. I guess it's 40s to the 60s, I think, or maybe it was the 70s. So I'm researching the Hays Code now, which was a moral code that was self-imposed in the industry to make sure that movies were wholesome and didn't degrade the morals of society and whatnot. And that was one of the elements that led to the downfall of the old studio system. It's just people's taste began to change, and it was so you know, these tastes were so cemented. They were so, what's the word I'm looking for? They sort of ossified the industry. The industry was producing these things, and the taste outside the industry changed, but they couldn't do anything about it because of this code. And plus, I think also budgets got out of control, and there was some studio closures. But I'm going to do some research and sort of figure that out. But I think that the Hays Code, which made making anything controversial impossible in Hollywood at the time, or very difficult, is very similar to YouTube's policy. And I think that YouTube will probably face a similar problem to the studio system of the 50s, not 50s, the 60s, which eventually their collapse led to the renaissance of the 1970s and 80s films. And so I don't know. So I'm working on that. That'll probably be done in a couple days. I'll probably start putting that together once I've got the script worked out in the next day or so. And then we're going to prep tomorrow and Friday for I Love You. And then the next project that we're working on here, I'm going to get rid of this thing here. What else? Yes, I'm going to be doing this comparison between various alternative distribution channels that are driven by or supported by the blockchain. I've got BitChute here is one of them. They don't do, it's not based on cryptocurrency, it's based on WebTorrent, but you can mine a cryptocurrency called Monero to support them. So that's really interesting. I use BitChute as a sort of backup for YouTube. Whenever I upload a video to YouTube, it just gets sent to BitChute as a backup. But it's not my primary choice for what I would like to see as far as video distribution goes, but it's pretty great. Let's see what else we've got. We're going to be doing Viewly. Viewly is a cryptocurrency-based blockchain-based distribution platform. I believe it's an Ethereum token, an ERC20 token. The creator of this is one of the heavy hitters on Steam, actually, I believe. I want to say that this guy was working on a video distribution alternative to DTube on Steam and eventually broke off to do his own thing. So this is, speaking of DTube, this is another one I'm going to look over. This is a sort of a knockoff, almost an identical knockoff of YouTube. Not identical, but it's pretty close. I mean, if you were to look at YouTube, we have tags here instead of instead of channels, but you can save channels. I think there is a channel list when I log in, but because OBS has its quirks, I'm just not going to do it at the moment. Then we have Library, which is really interesting. Library is a standalone program that allows you to upload your entire library from YouTube. So right now, all of my content is being queued up to be downloaded on or up to Library, and this is also supported with cryptocurrency. So the whole thing, all the pricing mechanisms and distribution mechanism, it's all based on cryptocurrency. And I believe their cryptocurrency is the LBC, so the Library Credit, or Long Beach Central. So LBC. And it's pretty good. It has its quirks, but we're going to get into a review of it later. So I'm also going to compare that to Alexandria, which is one that's been around for a while. Where are you? So this is Alexandria. Alexandria is interesting. It was one of the first on the market as far as distributed or decentralized distribution goes. But I had a lot of hope for this. I'm not sure what's going on with it. I'll have to get some updates on its progress. But it uses something called Florin Coin and Bitcoin. I think the Florin Coin is responsible for recording the transactions and pointing, using that as a sort of addressing for how we see the IPFS file system, how the files point to and from your computer. I believe that's what the Florin Coin is for. And the Bitcoin is for paying people. It's the two-tier system, which is interesting. And the last but not least is DLIVE. And DLIVE is like Twitch, but you can upload videos there too. And this has some advantages over DTube. DTube and DLIVE are both powered by Steam, which also powers my Busy profile. I think we had it up here last time. So this is the DLIVE and BitChute, which you just saw, also powers this platform here. Where are we? Why don't we pop it up? There we are. So the social network that powers DLIVE, or the cryptocurrency that powers DLIVE, also powers the Steam social network. And you can see that, oh, that's so weird. That's so meta. This is the stream that's happening right now on the, whatchamacallit. And I think the last thing we're going to get to, because we got to hurry out of this, we're going shooting tonight. We're going to do some car-to-car stuff. Pretty cool. And is this Trump Hollywood Walk of Fame. Now, I don't care what you think of Trump. I think for me, I just have to be honest, this really upset me. The fact that the entire star for Donald Trump was destroyed. The way I look at it, the Hollywood Walk of Fame is a piece of art, and you go around defacing art, you're just an asshole. That's what you are. As much of a jerk as Trump is, this is my neighborhood. You know, I live here. I live in this neighborhood, and if you want something removed by the city or by the Hollywood Trust, who now has to pay an additional $30,000 to have it replaced or moved or whatever, this is the second time this has been done. And vandalism on the Walk of Fame is not uncommon, but I just hate it when it's done with such malice, and it makes Hollywood look ugly. And Hollywood was a real scary place for a long time, and in the last 10 years, it's really come up. It's safe to walk out at night, out on the streets at night. When I moved to Hollywood, it wasn't, and it's really gotten great. I love Hollywood, and I just want to see Hollywood look great. I want it to be great. I want it to be safe, and I want the Hollywood Walk of Fame to remain unblemished. It's just an awesome piece of Hollywood. And so I thought we'd read a little bit about some of the theft and vandalism that's occurred on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. And I just want to read this a little bit here. Theft and vandalism. Acts of vandalism occur on the walk on a regular basis, ranging from profanity and political statements written on stars with markers to attempted removal and to removal of brass emblems with chisels. Closed-circuit surveillance cameras have been installed to help prevent that. Let's see here. 4 of the stars, which weigh 300 pounds each, have been stolen from the Walk of Fame. James Stewart's, Kirk Douglas's stars disappeared from their locations near the intersection of Hollywood and Vine. Hollywood and Vine is right where the Donald Trump star is. That's Sunset and Vine. So a block south of Hollywood is the Donald Trump, on Sunset and Vine. Where they had been temporarily removed for a construction project. So they were removed and they disappeared. Police recovered them from a suburban community of Southgate where they arrested a man involved with the incident incident there and searched his house. The suspect was a construction worker employed in the Hollywood and Vine project. I guess that would be a prime suspect now. Let's see what else. In late 2009, rumors circulated widely in media outlets that the internet that John Lennon's star had been stolen, but it was merely being relocated. Of course, here we have Donald Trump star, who received a host of The Apprentice television series, was repeatedly defaced in 2016 and again yesterday. So right there, God, that's Wikipedia is so fast. The last sentence here, Donald Trump star was vandalized again on July 25th. That was today. Thank you, Wikipedia. And I don't like vandalism. I don't like graffiti. And this just feels like graffiti, except way worse to me. And now the Hollywood Trust has to spend an additional $30,000 to have this replaced. It costs the trust, who's in charge of maintaining the entire network of stars on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, now has to spend, 3 times the amount of money they would have spent just on that one. On that one, they could have distributed that money across the rest of the Hollywood Walk of Fame, which has been going through an upgrade. That just pisses me off because I like the Hollywood Walk of Fame. I like that people like to come here and see it. I like to go look at it. It's fun, and it just makes me disgusting defacing art like that. I mean, how would you feel if I didn't like the politics of John Lennon and I went up to some mural and threw paint on it? I would be the jerk. And so I can't condone it. In any case, that's it. We're heading back. I'm going to be heading out of here in a second to go do some car-to-car shooting. Keep checking back here for updates on Changelings, and I love you. On Saturday, I'll be checking in on Patreon here and on Twitter. Oh, yeah, that's right. I'm back on Twitter at ADISSIG. ADISSIG. It's not a very, doesn't roll off your tongue. ADISSIG. I don't know. In any case, back on Twitter. If you want to have a conversation with me there, I'm almost always on Twitter. I'll be there if you want to chat. Please check out Patreon if you like independent cinema, short films. That's what I'm making here and talking about the blockchain, spreading the word that hopefully that's going to transform the film industry and make it much better for individuals to make films and make money and support their art. Check me out on Steam and have a fine day.